sitting here asking God, why? Like, why does this keep happening to me? Why are things not changing? Why am I still broke? Why am I still happy? Why have I dated 5 different guys and they all the relationships end in the exact same way? Why? Where's the path, God? Why are you not telling me what to do? Meanwhile, God's like, babe, I've been told you what to do. You're expecting me to lay out the entire path before you take one step. I've already told you the one step to take, but you can't even perceive the way that I'm making for you. So what does it matter whether the path is there or not? The other day, I was journaling and something really beautiful came up that I wanted to share with you. It said, and now I see that all those years I cried and wished that someone had defended me. Here I am. I am the one that my younger self wished for. I am the hero coming to save myself. Of course, with God, but even God cannot act without my permission. And I remember that when I journaled that, when that came out, because I felt like after saying that I was the one who saved myself, that I am the hero in my story, I felt this need to say, well, I'm doing it with God. Like God is also the hero in my story. But then what came out immediately after was, even God cannot act without my permission. And that's something I really, like I said, wanted to expand on and talk about for you, because I think a lot of people are waiting for God to like show up and solve all of their problems and change their circumstances, when they don't realize that this life is a co-creation with God. It's not God's responsibility to solve all of your issues. It's your responsibility. And God can only change things for you if you are in a space to welcome in that change. And this really touches on free will, right? God gave us the gift of free will when we were created. And with that free will, it means that God can only do what we allow God to do. And this gets tricky because a lot of people think that, oh, well, if I'm asking God for the thing, if I'm saying to God, come and make this change or bring me this thing, then that's me giving God permission, right? Yes, on the surface it is, but giving God permission is so much deeper than just saying, God, come and do the thing. It's preparing yourself and letting go of the things that are in the way of those changes coming in, of that thing coming in. I'm going to share some stories in the Bible that touch on this as well. I'm not a Christian, but I've been reading the Bible and these stories are very relevant. And I think that even if you're not a Christian, you can gain a lot of value from what is being said here. So I wanted to talk about Lot's wife. And it's funny because the 2 stories that I'm going to mention, I actually saw them as posts on Instagram, which I love. So many people are like, Instagram is so toxic, and there's definitely toxicity on Instagram. But my feed is like Bible verses, it's like spirituality, it's health, it's wellness, it's like all of that. So my Instagram, I feel like I'm always seeing things that just like expand my mind. And so the post that came up, and I'm going to link it down below so you can watch it for yourself. But the one about Lot's wife, literally it was just like a video of a woman, a person. And this is what she said. I'm going to read it to you. She said, and it's funny because I screenshotted this at 1:45, which in military time is 3:45. So I screenshotted it at 3:45. Anyway, she says, I think about Lot's wife, not because she looked back, because angels physically grabbed her hand. Think about that. There are people in scripture who prayed for angels and never saw one. Lot's wife was personally led out of judgment by heavenly beings, yet her heart remained in Sodom, which means proximity to deliverance is not the same thing as agreement with it. A person can leave a place physically while remaining attached spiritually. And perhaps that's why God can free someone from Egypt in a day, but spend 40 years getting Egypt out of them. And that, like, when I read that, I immediately saved it because I wanted to think on that. I wanted to journal on that, meditate on that, because what they said was just so powerful, right? So for those of you who don't know the story, and I don't like know the story so well either, but the story goes that Lot and his family were living in Sodom, and God was essentially, and if I butcher this, like, please correct me in the comments, that's totally fine. They were told, Lot and his wife, they were told essentially that God was going to bring fire down, was going to rain fire down on Sodom and Gomorrah for their immorality. And Lot and his wife and their family, they were the only people that were identified as morally sound people, God-fearing, God-following people. And God said that God would spare them and nobody else in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so the angels came to Lot and his wife and his family to lead them out of Sodom. It says in the Bible that Lot's wife looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. I didn't know this when I was a kid. Eventually I learned this when I got older, but salt preserves meat. And so basically what it's saying is that, I mean, maybe it is literally saying that because she was looking back at Sodom, that God turned her into a pillar of salt. But really what's being said is that because she could not let go of it, her heart and her being remained preserved in Sodom. And because her heart and her being remained in Sodom, God could not do anything for her. So beautiful, so profound. I really encourage you to think on that, to meditate on that. I think that story and the way that this person broke it down like that is so profound, because exactly what they said, which means proximity to deliverance is not the same thing as agreement with it. When you are praying and asking to be delivered from something, to have something new come in, you're putting that power in God's hands. Yes, you're recognizing that God is powerful and is all-knowing, all-being, right? Is everything in everything. You're recognizing God's divinity in that sense, but you're in denial of your own divinity. And you're in denial of the fact that you also have power, you also have dominion over your own life. In fact, you could even argue that you have more dominion and more power over your life than God does because of that free will that God gave us. You're praying for a blessing, you're asking for the blessing, you want to believe in it, but because you're so attached to what you're used to in your life, because you are so unaware of your own beliefs, your own thoughts, perspectives, your programming, and you're unwilling to become aware of it, you're unwilling to let it go, it doesn't matter what God brings to you, you will not be able to receive it. You will block God's blessings. And therefore, God cannot come and do what it is that you say that you want God to come and do. And part of that is making the choice for it. So now I'm going to go into the next story, which is Moses' mother. And so I am going to link the post. Again, like this is another post. It was a pastor speaking on Moses' mother. For those of you who don't know the story, Moses' mother was living in Egypt. So the Pharaoh made a decree to drown all of the Hebrew newborn boys. Moses' mother was a Hebrew, and therefore Moses is a newborn Hebrew boy. She hid him in a basket and took him to the Nile River and released him to the Nile River. Which sounds crazy. And if you've seen The Prince of Egypt, I think that's what it's called, the Disney movie, crazy. And I think in that movie, they make it so dramatic. Like there's like waves and there's animals and it's like, how did this baby make it make it down the river? But anyway, she puts him in the basket down the Nile River. And at the same time that she puts him in the basket and sends him on his way, the Pharaoh's daughter, the Egyptian princess, she was at the river. She sees the basket and pulls out baby Moses. And she knows, I'm pretty sure she knows immediately that he's a Hebrew baby. She decides to keep him. And somehow the nurse that she hires to care for him ends up being his mother. But the beauty in this story, I mean, that's beautiful right there. But as the story continues, Moses is raised by the Pharaoh's daughter in the palace, and he sees the terrible things that are being done to his people in Egypt. So he witnesses an Egyptian man beating a Hebrew slave, and Moses kills the Egyptian. And because he's killed him and he knows he's going to be in trouble, he flees Egypt, goes into the wilderness, finds a tribe, marries the daughter of a shepherd in the tribe, starts to live this whole new life. But then one day God appears to him as a burning bush, basically telling him to go back to Egypt and to free his people. And that's what he does. He goes and he frees his people from Egypt. Now, it's such a beautiful story. Like, it's obviously in the Bible. There's also the Prince of Egypt. Like, go and watch. And keep in mind, the Disney version is like a Disney version, right? And like not accurate. Tells the gist of the story. Go listen to the story. But my point in bringing this up is that Moses' mother saw the danger that Moses was in being a newborn Hebrew boy. And because she knew that staying with him was going to result in his drowning, him being killed, she feels compelled to put him in the Nile River in a basket and send him down the river. And it just so happens at the exact same time that she sends him down the river, Pharaoh's daughter is at the river and receives the basket. And because Pharaoh's daughter was at the river, because of that perfect divine timing that Moses' mother surrendered to, Moses ended up being spared from being drowned so that he could live this life, right? Experiencing the two lives, being in Pharaoh's palace, being raised as a prince, to then fleeing into the wilderness and living as a humble shepherd, to then coming back and liberating his people from Egypt. It was all in divine timing. Moses' mother, from her human perspective, probably would have never thought, oh, it makes sense for me to put my baby in the Nile River and send him on his way in hope that he survives, right? But because she surrendered to God telling her what to do, God could then carry out the path. Again, you can ask God for something, but if you are unwilling to do what you are being instructed to do, if you are unwilling to make the choice again and again and again for the thing that you claim that you want, then God cannot come in and make it happen for you. It all becomes dependent upon you. And because you have such a limited human perspective of life, we can only see a little bit back into our past. And even our perspective of the past becomes distorted as time goes on, as we shift, evolve, and because we have our own perceptions about things. So our perception of the past becomes distorted. We can only see what's happening right now in front of us. We think that we can see into the future of what is going to happen, but really that prediction of the future is heavily influenced by what we have experienced in the past. Our perspective is so limited that we cannot see the things that can be done for us on our journey. We cannot see how one little step is a butterfly effect to a massive shift in the future. God has that perspective, right? Our higher selves have that perspective. Our souls have that perspective. But again, it has to be a co-creation because I'm the one who's walking the path. God cannot walk the path for me. That's literally the reason that I'm here. It is to walk the path. It is to carry out expansion. It's to learn lessons. It's so that God can expand and learn through me. But God can only do so much because that is the agreement that we have, that it's a co-creation of the experience. And I want you to go watch that post, how he broke down the choice that Moses' mother made, because it is so powerful. Just like in my life, I have always been somebody who was very ambitious. I had all of these big dreams and goals, and a lot of those things were actually unfolding for me. And then I somehow found myself in a phase where I felt really called to go within and start looking at who I was on the inside, which then led me to look at my relationship with myself and eventually my relationship to God. And throughout that process, I did a lot of healing. I did a lot of unlearning, a lot of letting go of beliefs. Slowly, shifts started to happen, but they didn't start happening from the outside. They started happening from the inside, and then it amplified to my external experience. I'm not going to go into all of the beautiful things that have happened for me in the last year of my life, the last 2 years of my life, because of those perspective shifts. But I just want to say that it was literally not until recently that I understood, all of these beautiful things happened for me, not because I was running after them, not because I was chasing them, not because I needed them, but because I went in and did the work and changed my perspective of myself and let go of all of these things that are not in alignment with with the way that I actually want to live life. Sure, I can manifest the things that I want by working really hard and doing it all on my own, but then it's going to require that I continue to work really, really, really hard and do it all on my own. But if I can do it by moving with God, then it will be maintained by moving with God. And I don't have to do it all by myself. And it can be so much easier when I allow God, with God's all-knowing, all-being perspective, to come in and make shifts and changes. But I have to get out of God's way. I have to allow God to come in and do what I am asking God to do. And then I also have to do what God is asking me to do. We have to do it together. And so I'm telling you this to encourage you to see your own personal power, your own divinity, and how it is linked to God's divinity. The last thing that I wanted to leave you with is a Bible verse, Isaiah 43:18-19. I have two different versions with me. I have this one, which is the New King James Version in my physical Bible, but I also have another version. I'll read them both so that maybe one might be easier to understand over the other. But in my New King James Bible version, it says, "Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." And I'm going to read it in the more modern version as well, because I feel like it might land a little bit better. This was so profound to me, and I hope it's profound for you. But it says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Man. It's so funny because I actually have come to realize that there's a lot of times where people share a Bible verse in one context when it actually was spoken in a different context in the actual passage in the Bible. And so sometimes I feel like it's kind of passing off its meaning as being relevant when sometimes it's not relevant. But also sometimes I do kind of like the isolation of verses because they can be applied even if the context is a little different. I feel like this one is actually the context that I'm applying it in is also the context of the story as well in Isaiah. But yeah, so let's break it down. Forget the former things. Do not dwell in the past. And I loved that. And I actually looked it up. I mean, I'm sure we all know what dwell means, but to dwell is essentially to live or stay as a permanent resident, or to live or continue in a given condition or state. God is advising us to not do what Lot's wife is doing. Forget the former things. Do not dwell in the past. Do not remain in the past. Do not hold on to the past. Do not leave your heart in the past, your mind in the past, your body in the past. The irony of this is that the way that the brain works, our natural state is to be in the past. And I touched on it a little bit earlier about how the brain, because it likes certainty, it likes safety, it likes predictability, it feels safe in that, the brain will predict the future based off of the past. And so even if you're being shown a new thing, a new opportunity, a new experience, the brain will try to rationalize it based off of its information that it learned from the past, because that's safer than operating in the unknown. And so this is one of those things where that touches on the human dilemma, right? Because we are both spirit and flesh, non-physical and physical, spirit and animal. Our body operates off of programming. Our brain operates like a computer. So when we dwell in the past, it's so much more than just saying, "Oh, look away." Just choose something different, look away. And it is simple in the sense that all you have to do is make a decision for something new, and then you can start on that new path. However, part of choosing to go down that path and remaining on that path, it takes recognizing that often what your brain is telling you to do is not in alignment with the path, even though you've already consciously decided that that's what you want. In order to not dwell in the past, to forget the former things, you have to actively unlearn, rewire, and surrender those things. It is a spiritual process and also a physical process. It's one that you can ask God to remove those things for you, but you also have to decide to relinquish those things as well. So it says, forget the former things, do not dwell in the past. I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? God is saying, I am doing a new thing. I am offering you the opportunity for what it is that you ask for. I am showing you a new way. Do you not perceive it? I think that has to be one of the most powerful things ever, because like I said, even when you consciously make a new choice to go down a new path, because the brain is wired to predict the future based off the past, you might think that you're actually living and working towards a new future, when really, because you're unconscious of those beliefs, you're unconscious of how your beliefs shape your perspective and your perspective shapes your reality. Because you're unaware of that, you might be doing the exact same thing you've been doing, just looking a little different. New path, same version. It requires a change in who you are, if you want lasting change, lasting shifts, you yourself have to change in a lasting way. In order for you to perceive the new thing, you need to become a match for the new thing by becoming a new version of yourself who can perceive the new thing. Let's use like a money example. Let's say you're unhappy in your job. You feel like you're working so hard, you're not making nearly as much money as you think you could. You feel like your workplace doesn't value you, and you want to do something different. You want something new. This idea pops in your head. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to update my resume, put it on LinkedIn, and start networking and like get a new job. You get a new job. It's exciting for a minute. And then you're like, oh, I don't like this job. I'm not making as nearly as much money as I could be. My boss doesn't see the value in me. I'm working way harder than I really need to be for what I'm getting paid, right? I just don't like this. Okay, I'm going to apply for a new job. It's a cycle. And it seems like you're doing the new thing. It seems like you're making a change because you're getting a new job, when really you're just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's the definition of insanity. Well, it's not literally the definition of insanity, but that's the saying, you know. You're doing the same thing over and over again. It's the same job, but in a different dress. It's the exact same thing. You're showing up as the same version of yourself. God is trying to reveal to you, right, the new thing. It's about you not being aligned with that 9-to-5 life. You actually want to travel. You actually want to spend more time with your family. You actually want to make astronomical amounts of money. And the jobs that you keep choosing either have a cap on how much money you can make, or they have a cap, or they take a long time for you to ascend through the ranks to eventually get that money. So then you meet this guy at one of those networking events, and he's like, oh, I'm just here because my buddy invited me, but like, I actually don't work, for a company. I own my own company. I'm a personal trainer, but like I've built this online presence. The majority of my money comes from my courses online that people just buy, that I don't even know who they are. And they just like follow me on social media and buy my plans. And I make all of this money and I travel all over the world. And you're like, whoa, that sounds so freaking cool. Like, that's crazy. That is so cool. And like, you can't stop thinking about it. And meanwhile, you're over here submitting your resume to a new freaking job that doesn't light you up, but feels cool because it's something new, but you're stuck on homeboy that is living the life of your dreams. But you can't even you're like, I can't stop thinking about this. Why do I keep thinking about this? You keep thinking about it because your soul is telling you that what you've been doing over here is not it. And what the homeboy is doing over there, that's it. That's what I want to be doing. You can't even see it. You can't even perceive the possibilities because it is so far out of alignment with what you are used to. So the issue is not the job. It's not the circumstance. It's you. It's you being unable to perceive the new thing that God is trying to reveal to you and do for you in your life. So then going on, it says, I just feel like, I really want you to meditate on that. Like, look up this verse, read this verse. I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? And then it says, I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. God is basically saying, I'm paving the path for you. I'm paving the path for you. Where you saw no way, I am making a way. Your only job is to walk the path. But you're so afraid to walk the damn path that it doesn't matter if the path is there or not. You're sitting here asking God, why? Like, why does this keep happening to me? Why are things not changing? Why am I still broke? Why am I still happy? Why have I dated 5 different guys and all the relationships end in the exact same way? Why? Where's the path, God? Why are you not telling me what to do? Meanwhile, God's like, babe, I've been told you what to do. You're expecting me to lay out the entire path before you take one step. I've already told you the one step to take, but you can't even perceive the way that I'm making for you. So what does it matter whether the path is there or not if you're not willing to walk it? Get out of God's way. Get out of your own way. And I'm speaking to you like this because this is something that I have continued to have to tell myself over and over and over again. There's always a reason not to. There's always a reason not to show up for yourself, to believe that you can't have the thing, that you can't do the thing, that it's not meant for you. I'm here to tell you that it's always meant for you. If it's popping up for you in your reality, like, How can I get you to grasp this? If the desire is popping up in your reality, then it already is in alignment for you. It would not be showing up in your reality. You would literally not be perceiving it if it was not meant for you. It's a path, it's a journey, but you have to take one step at a time. God is not going to outline the entire path for you. Moses' mother had no idea that when she put Moses in the basket that he was going to be the one to lead his people out of Egypt. No clue. I literally have goosebumps thinking about it. I'm like getting teary-eyed. I can say examples for myself. I had no idea that when my brother passed, that it was going to awaken something in me and have me walking my purpose. I had no idea that it was going to have me speaking to God every day. I had no idea that it was going to get me to go and start acting again. I had no idea it was going to bring me back to music. I had no idea that it was going to bring me to my Bible. I literally have goosebumps and I'm getting emotional. Just in the last year, I was literally just thinking, wow, if I went back to Sydney, who was about to turn 28, and told her all of the things that happened in less than a year, all the things that I listed happened for me in like 8 months. I was like, wow, if I told her that these things were going to happen, she would be like, wait, what? Are you serious? For real? What? How? But then I also realized, you know what? It's probably for the better that she has no idea that those things are going to happen, because she would be scared. She would probably sabotage it. She wouldn't know what to do. She would be afraid. She would balk at the opportunity. But that's not what happened. I had no idea. I just put one foot in front of the other. And yeah, they were slow steps. The last 5 years of my life, the last 29 years of my life, a lot of it has been slow steps. But now that I can look back, and they say hindsight is 2020. Now that I can look back and see all of the things that have happened, now I'm like, dang, I have rewritten a whole new blueprint for myself. A whole new way of thinking, being, doing, believing. I have rewritten it all for me. I am like so strongly believing that, like, yes, I'm turning 29 in a few days and it's my birthday, but I'm realizing that I am actually being born into a new life now. And it's not like that Christian way of like, oh, I've been baptized and now I'm like being saved by God or saved by Jesus. No, I'm being reborn in a new way, into a new life by walking with God, by recognizing the divinity in me, and not only just like saying it, not just like talking about it and reading the books about it and listening to the videos about it, but by living by it. Because I took the one step, because I believed in myself, because I recognized that the only person who could save me was me. I am the only one who can save myself. God can tell me what to do, but I am the only one who can do it. God can lay out the path, but I have to take the steps. And it took me recognizing my own power, my own value, before I actually started taking the steps. And so I'm here telling you, see your own power, see your own value, and start taking the steps. You are the only person who can save themselves. Only you can save yourself. I'm not going to get into it today, but I truly believe that that's what Jesus was trying to teach us, was trying to show us that you are your savior. You are one with God. It is up to you. That is the agreement that you have entered by coming into this life. It's up to you. Save yourself. Do the work, save yourself, and get out of God's way and let God do it with you. Okay? Hopefully that didn't sound so crazy, but let me know what you think. Let me know if this message resonated with you, if it spoke to you in some way. I'd love to have a conversation about it. So comment down below and let me know if you would like more conversations like this, more examples from the Bible, or even just examples from my own life or examples from other people's lives. So I will see you next time. Thanks for being here. And yeah, have a great rest of your day and your week.